Breaking news, the Atlanta Falcons have just defeated the Arizona Cardinals, the first time in Arizona since 2001. That's almost 25 years ago, which is insane. But in this video, I'm going to break down this win, how this impacts the team this year, how this impacts the team next year, and just talk about what happened in the game, the highs, the lows, who should win the game ball, and how that offense, defense, and special teams looked. Now, I will first say this. This game can be encompassed in this one statement, and it's that the Atlanta Falcons were the better team, the Arizona Cardinals were not the better team, and therefore the Atlanta Falcons beat the Cardinals because they were the better team. Simple as that. And the unfortunate circumstance of this game is that if the Atlanta Falcons treated all the not good teams like they did today, and if they handled business against bad teams, they will probably be in the playoffs. And that's the sad reality of it. If the Atlanta Falcons were able to beat the Dolphins and the Jets, they would probably be in the playoffs at this point. But they lost to both of them, and they're going to be sitting home with us when it comes to playoff time. But this game showed us a lot. It really did. Bijan Robinson is probably the best back in the NFL. I mean, it's just hard to say he's not. I mean, I think he went over 2K today, and he is by far the best back in the NFL. I will say this. I feel bad for Tyler Algier. Not because he's not getting carries, but just because he's sitting behind one of the best backs in the NFL. So, unfortunately, he's not going to get the carries that he deserves. Not because he's not good and not because he's not schemed in the offense, but the best back in the NFL is in front of him. So, I feel bad for that. But Bijan Robinson was amazing. Defense played really, really good in spurts. They gave up a few plays, but as a whole, they played good. Special teams, big improvements. I hate to admit that, but big improvements week to week. And because of that, the Atlanta Falcons, the better team, beat the Cardinals, who aren't the better team right now. And so, shout out to Atlanta. Got to give them some props for winning games. It doesn't matter at this point, but got to give them props. Now, a couple players I wanted to move into. Number one, my game ball for the entire squad. I think this was the best player out there today, and his name is Kyle Pitts. Now, Kyle Pitts, we know Kyle Pitts to be the guy that when it comes down to playing in games that don't matter or playing for a check, he turns into prime Calvin Johnson, and we haven't seen any shortage of that. Kyle Pitts was by far the best player on the field. There were several third downs. Kirk Cousins throwing at Kyle Pitts, making contested catches. Kyle Pitts got in the end zone. Kyle Pitts looked like the best player on the field today. And this is the Kyle Pitts that many Atlanta Falcons fans have been begging to see since he's been drafted, since that first rookie breakout year, and we just haven't seen it unless it's when it comes to games that don't matter. And today, that game didn't matter. And we saw prime Kyle Pitts. But I'm not going to hate on that man because he deserves his credit. He was by far the best player of the game. And because of that, shout out to Kyle Pitts. Now, for the offense, I know we talked about Bijan Robinson being the best back in the NFL and Kyle Pitts being the best player of this game. But the offense was the same offense. I mean, wasn't much variation. There was plays that called in a vacuum that were very successful. But at the end of the day, Zach Robinson still, it seems like this offense is still lacking that creativity and that firepower. I mean, you see individuals make individual plays, and you see in a vacuum each play working, but as a whole, as of a connective scheme, it's not working. And at the end of the day, Arizona, there were times where they knew what was coming, and they were able to get pressure or get in the backfield early because 1st and 10, outside zone is probably coming. And because of that, the offense looked good at times, but didn't really look that great at times. Same offense we'll see, and I think this is ultimately why Zach Robinson, if Raheem Morris is retained, will get fired. It's not connected, and it's not as explosive as it should be. Special teams. improvements of today. I mean, it really did look a whole lot better. It looked like a competent special teams. I don't know what changed week over week. Maybe it was the cutting of or waiving of a few players, but this special teams unit did look improved. And honestly, they didn't give up too many big plays. And I also want to shout out Zane Gonzalez. He's been a steady presence for the Atlanta Falcons kicking unit, which is shocking, but ever since he's been there, the Atlanta Falcons have trusted him to make kicks, and he's done a great job of making kicks. So in the future, I would expect a pretty decent contract for Zane Gonzalez to be on the Atlanta Falcons next year. Defense played pretty good. Like I said, they gave up a few deep plays in the runs and then a few in the pass, but for the most part, played a good game. Brandon Dorlus, 8 sacks. No one's talking about him. Everyone's talking about James Pierce Jr. as he should, 8 sacks as a rookie. But Brandon Dorlus also has 8 sacks. Can be another staple piece in this defense going forward. Now, future outlook for the Atlanta Falcons, I will say this. Unfortunately for those fans who hate Raheem Morris made a step forward into retaining his job in the future. This team won today, and they did what they needed to do. And because of that, the Atlanta Falcons will probably take another look at keeping Raheem Morris for the Atlanta Falcons next year. Now, Raheem Morris has a chance to end this season at 8-9, barely missing the playoffs. And to his credit, he could say, we were a few injuries and a bad offensive coordinator away from making the playoffs. And if Arthur Blank does believe that, then he probably will get a good chance next year. But I think this game proved that he may be the coach for the Atlanta Falcons next year. So beware. That's all I'm saying. Also, this game proved, like I mentioned earlier, the Atlanta Falcons desperately need another offensive coordinator, desperately need another special teams coordinator. And then Jeff Ulbrich, just continue to do what you do and build this roster out. But at the end of the day, good win for the Atlanta Falcons. A win is a win. We do not take wins for granted in Atlanta, and they won today. Arthur Blank's going to have a tough decision because if you look at these next 2 games, they play the Rams and they play the Saints. What if the Falcons beat the Rams and the Saints? That'll be a tough decision, and I think if that happens, right now, I think Raheem Morris has a strong chance of being retained as a head coach. But if the Atlanta Falcons win the next 2 games, I think it will move up to like 75-80% retention unless a big name just falls out the sky like Matt LaFleur. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always, peace.